What if Bigfoot crossed into Connecticut? If you are new to this channel, subscribe for a new story every night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Let's get into tonight's case. On the morning of July 5th, 2026, at 1:45 a.m., a 38-year-old carpenter named Kevin Klimas was driving south on Route 49, just south of the Pahaug State Forest entrance, in the town of Voluntown, in the northeastern corner of Connecticut. The road was straight for about 100 yards ahead. Hardwood and pine crowded in on both sides. The only light was his high beams. A figure stepped out of the tree line, into the road, about 200 yards ahead. It was upright. It was bipedal. Klimas slammed the brakes. The figure did not move. Klimas came to a full stop, about 50 yards short. He sat in the cab of his truck, with the engine running, and looked at the figure for what he later said was about 30 seconds. The figure turned its head toward Klimas. It held the gaze. Then it stepped back into the tree line in a single slow motion and was gone. Kevin Klimas is 38 years old. He lives in Westerly, Rhode Island, a small coastal town near the Connecticut border. He has worked as a carpenter for the last 20 years, currently for a residential contractor in Mystic, Connecticut, about 20 miles south of Voluntown. He has a 12-year-old son. He coaches a Little League team in the spring. He fishes on the weekends. Klimas has been a regular at a friend's cabin in Voluntown since 2019. The cabin sits on a 3-acre lot on the eastern edge of Pahaug State Forest, on a private road that branches off Route 49. The friend has owned the cabin for almost 30 years. The friend has asked that his name not be published. The friend was not directly involved in the encounter. Klimas arrived at the cabin on the evening of Friday, July 3rd. He spent Saturday and Sunday fishing, hiking the forest roads, and drinking beer with the friend. He was sober at the time of the encounter. He had stopped drinking at 9 p.m. Saturday night. Klimas had been told about Bigfoot before. He had watched the Finding Bigfoot TV show in reruns and had laughed at it. He did not believe in Bigfoot. He knew the Pahaug Forest well enough to recognize a moose on sight. The years driving the New England woods roads had taught him what a black bear looked like. The hours in his truck at night had taught him what a person walking on the road looked like. The figure he saw on Route 49 on the morning of July 5th was none of those. 2 days after the encounter, on the afternoon of July 7th, Klimas filed a report with the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, the largest Bigfoot research group in North America. The report was assigned BFRO Report number 81270. BFRO reports are classified on a scale from Class C, the lowest credibility, to Class A, the highest. A Class A report is one in which the witness has a clear, unobstructed view of the creature, at close range, in good light, for an extended period of time, and is physically, mentally, and emotionally stable, with no apparent motive to fabricate. Klimas's report was classified Class A. The full text of the report is now in the BFRO public database. In the report, Klimas described the figure as between 8 and 8.5 feet tall, with an arm span of 8 to 9 feet. The head was slightly coned. The jaw was heavy and pronounced. The hair was long, matted, and greasy, dark brown in the truck's high beams, hanging in clumps to the shoulders. The eyes reflected the light. The face was dark. The body was broad. The chest deep. The shoulders wide. The arms long enough to reach the knee. Klimas told the BFRO investigator that the figure did not look like a person. It did not look like a bear. It did not look like anything he had ever seen. He had sat in his truck with the engine running and waited in the dark for what he said was 15 minutes before he felt safe enough to drive away. He went home. He did not sleep that night. Pahaug State Forest is the largest state forest in Connecticut. It covers roughly 27,000 acres across the towns of Voluntown, Griswold, North Stonington, and Preston. The forest is a mix of mature hardwood, including oak, maple, and hickory, and softwood pine plantations dating back to the 1930s. The terrain is hilly, with rocky outcrops, swamps, and several large ponds. The forest has been continuously forested since the colonial era. The indigenous peoples of the region, the Mohegan and the Pequot, hunted the area for at least 10,000 years before European settlement. The forest is also home to one of the densest black bear populations in southern New England. Black bear sightings are common in Pashogue. The Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection tracks an estimated 60 to 100 bears living in or adjacent to the forest at any time. The largest verified bear killed in Connecticut in the last 20 years was 660 pounds. The figure Klimas described was at least 8 feet tall, with a body mass consistent with 800 to 1,000 pounds. The BFRO public database contains 3 previously posted Connecticut Bigfoot encounters, all in New London County, all within 20 miles of Pashogue. The database also contains 22 additional unvetted reports from the same county, all listed without dates, without witness names, and without verification. The reports are described in a single line each. They include a figure crossing a road at night in Ledyard in 2014, a knocking sound from a tree line in North Stonington in 2017, a large bipedal figure seen in the headlights of a vehicle in Griswold in 2019. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization was founded in 2002. It is the largest and longest-running Bigfoot research group in the United States. The organization maintains a public database of Bigfoot sighting reports, classified by credibility and reviewed by trained investigators. The database contains more than 5,000 reports. The organization has approximately 300 active volunteer investigators across the United States and Canada. The investigator assigned to Klimas's report was a man in his 50s from Massachusetts who has asked that his name not be published. His 20 years of field experience with the BFRO are unmatched by most investigators. He has personally investigated more than 150 Bigfoot reports in that time. His thermal camera work has produced more than 30 videos of suspected Bigfoot activity. Hair and scat samples number more than 200. DNA analysis has produced no definitive match to any known species. The investigator drove to Voluntown on the afternoon of July 8th, the day after Klimas filed his report. He spent 4 hours with Klimas at the encounter site. He measured the road. He walked the tree line. He checked for tracks. He found none. He interviewed Klimas for 3 hours on the back porch of Klimas's home in Westerly. He recorded the interview on camera. The video is now in the BFRO archive. The video is also embedded in the published BFRO report. In the video, Klimas answers the investigators' questions calmly, in detail, without embellishment, and without contradiction. He does not appear to be lying. He does not appear to be performing. He appears to be a man who saw something he did not understand and is now trying to make sense of it. On July 10th, 2026, 5 days after the encounter, the Fox News website published a story under the headline, "Connecticut Man Reports Bigfoot Sighting in Pashogue State Forest." The story quoted Klimas, quoted the BFRO investigator, and quoted a spokesperson for the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, who said the agency had no record of any unusual wildlife activity in Pashogue and was not investigating the report. The Fox News story was picked up by aggregators. It was viewed more than 2 million times in the first 48 hours. On July 15th, 2026, News Nation ran a 4-minute segment on the report. The segment included an on-camera interview with the BFRO investigator, clips from Klimas's interview, and aerial footage of Pashogue State Forest. The segment did not take a position on whether the figure was Bigfoot. It presented the report, the witness, and the BFRO's process, and left the viewer to decide. The segment was viewed more than 3 million times on News Nation's YouTube channel in the first week. In early August 2026, Hollywood Life, a celebrity and entertainment news site, ran a feature under the headline, "Who is the Connecticut Bigfoot Witness? Everything we know about Kevin Klimas." The piece did not add new evidence. It repackaged the existing coverage for a younger, entertainment-focused audience. The piece was viewed more than 500,000 times in the first week. The coverage across the three outlets was substantial. It was also, in every case, fact-checked. None of the outlets retracted the stories. None of the outlets added skeptical commentary that the report was a hoax. The coverage treated the report as a credible, named witness Bigfoot encounter in a state where Bigfoot had not been credibly reported in 20 years. Kevin Klimas's report is the latest in a pattern of Bigfoot sightings across the United States in 2026 that has been unusually active, particularly in regions where Bigfoot has historically been rare. According to the BFRO public database, more than 90 reports have been filed in 2026 as of the end of July, a 30% increase over the same period in 2025. Reports in the eastern United States, where Bigfoot is not a traditional part of regional folklore, are up 60%. In Ohio, in May 2026, a cluster of reports in Portage County, near the city of Kent, produced 3 independent Class B sightings within 10 days. In Pennsylvania, in June, a Pennsylvania State Game Commission officer in Tioga County, in the north-central part of the state, reported a large bipedal figure crossing a state gameland road in front of his truck at 3 in the morning. The officer, who has asked that his name not be published, filed a BFRO report. The report was classified Class A. The Connecticut report is, in some ways, the most striking of the cluster. Connecticut is not a traditional Bigfoot state. The indigenous traditions of the region do not include a Bigfoot figure. The early colonial records of the region do not mention a Bigfoot figure. The state is heavily populated, with the densest forest cover in southern New England. The state has a well-developed wildlife management system run by the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. There is no obvious reason for a large, unknown primate to be living in the forests of northeastern Connecticut. And yet, on the morning of July 5, 2026, on Route 49, a 38-year-old carpenter saw an 8.5-foot figure with matted brown hair, an arm span of 9 feet, and a coned head standing in the road, looking at him, and then stepping back into the trees. Here is what the record contains. A 38-year-old carpenter named Kevin Klimas of Westerly, Rhode Island, with 20 years of carpentry experience, no criminal record, no history of mental health issues, and no apparent motive to fabricate. A friend's cabin on the eastern edge of Poshog State Forest, the largest state forest in Connecticut at 27,000 acres. A 2-lane rural highway, Route 49, dark at 1:45 in the morning. A figure between 8 and 8.5 feet tall, with matted brown hair, a coned head, a heavy jaw, a body mass of 800 to 1,000 pounds that stepped into the road, held a gaze with a driver for about 30 seconds, and stepped back into the tree line. A BFRO report, filed 2 days later, classified Class A. A 4-hour on-site investigation by a BFRO investigator with 20 years of field experience. A 3-hour on-camera interview that has now been viewed more than 2 million times. A Fox News story, viewed more than 2 million times. A News Nation segment, viewed more than 3 million times. A Hollywood Life feature, viewed more than 500,000 times. 22 other unvetted Connecticut Bigfoot reports in the BFRO database. A 30% national increase in Bigfoot reports in 2026. A 60% increase in eastern United States reports. Here is what the record does not contain. A photograph of the figure, a footprint, a hair sample, a scat sample, a second independent witness, a second encounter on the same road on the same night. An explanation for how a large, unknown primate could survive in northeastern Connecticut without being detected by the state wildlife agency for at least 20 years. Subscribe for a new story every night at 8 p.m. Never miss a case. What if Kevin Klimas was right? The figure he saw on Route 49 on the morning of July 5, 2026, at 1:45 in the morning, in the high beams of his truck. What if that figure was real? And what if a population of large unknown primates has been living in the forests of New England all along? In the deep swamps? In the rocky outcrops? In the 27,000 acres of Pashog? In the unverified reports? In the classified Class A files of a 50-year-old research organization? They have been there for years. The only thing that has changed is that one of them, on one night, in one moment, on one rural road, decided to step into the light and look back, and then disappear.